I'm Jaya Brown with News Channel 8, and joining us today is Principal Chief Hoskin to talk about the Cherokee Recovery Act, the Cherokee Artist Recovery Act, that is. Principal Chief, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Good. So it's so glad to have you today as
Thank
well,
you
too,
for
to talk
covering
about
this,
this.
for sure.
Yeah. So go ahead and talk to us about the details about this Cherokee Artist Recovery Act, right? What is so important about it?
Well, this was a law that came out of a time that we all experienced, the difficulties of the pandemic, as we came towards what was a hopeful end to the pandemic. In about 2022, we were all dealing, everybody around the world dealing with the economic consequences of that. We looked at what was happening in particular with our artist community. And you have to remember, a lot of these folks are elders, but irrespective of the age, they were operating in an industry that had seen some difficult times because of the economic conditions and the health conditions of the pandemic. So we thought, what could we do to inject some additional vitality into this community? Not just for economic reasons, but when we talk about our Cherokee artist community, we're talking about the men and women who perpetuate Cherokee lifeways, who hand those lifeways down, who express to the world what it means to be Cherokee. So if they were suffering economically, we felt like we had to do something. And so the law, in essence, injected initially $3 million into the artist community. We recently extended it and expanded it to $4 million total through 2026.
Wow. And so just talk to me about that additional $1 million that was put into this, right? Because it is amazing that you all are continuing to preserve this art within the community. Kind of talk to me about that.
Well, what that means is we're going to do more of the really good things we've already done. So what have we done? Well, we've purchased a lot of art. This was modeled in part after a WPA era law during the Depression in the United States, the Federal Artist Project, in which the United States purchased artwork in the name of the American people. Well, we're doing this in the name of the Cherokee people. So we purchased over 520 pieces of art that'll be owned into perpetuity by the Cherokee people. We'll put them in some of our amazing facilities across the reservation from over 120 artists. So we're going to do more of that. We're going to purchase more art. In fact, right now, if a person goes to CherokeeBids.org, you can see our latest call for art. So we have a call for art, general call for art, spending more of these dollars, and also a special call for art for a Freedman Monument, which will also be funded by some of these new dollars we put on the table. But we're going to continue to do some other good things. The art classes is the investment that I think are the most important, because what that means is artists that have really become so great through their work can pass that down to students. Sometimes it's young students, sometimes it's everybody in between. But the point is we're able to teach a new generation of artists. We can also help them access the marketplace, art marketplaces, streams of commerce. And so many of our artists weren't operating in the digital age. And so helping them find a way to sell and really share their beautiful art with the world through digital means, that's important. Sometimes they had barriers even getting to art shows around the country, even regionally. So we'll be able to do more of that. This, I think, is going to continue to do this additional $1 million, what we've done, I think, so well so far. We're also investing in a wonderful art facility in the community of Stillwell with some of these dollars. So lots of stuff going on.
Lots of stuff going on. Great stuff at that, right? So just to go back to the $3 million that was put into it back in 2022, kind of tell me about what that investment was doing during that time and why this $1 million additionally will continue to help preserve the art.
Well, during that time, what it did primarily is it, in a very quick manner, purchased art from artists who during the pandemic were not able to sell their art like they were before the pandemic. They weren't able to physically safely get out during times. We all remember that. They were all suffering from an economy in which people's spending on art was contracting because of economic concerns. So we were able to really extend a lifeline with that additional initial $3 million to the point where we invested in 170 artists and purchased over 520 pieces of art. A lot of these artists live marginally economically. I mean, they're putting their lives into art, and if they take a hit economically, if they're not able to sell their art, they have to make decisions about whether that's how they can make a living. What we think the $3 million did was to instantly purchase their art, did something for them, but did something for all of us because it kept them producing and creating,
Right.
and it really created this body of work for the Cherokee people to enjoy, which people will be able to see in all of our facilities.
Right, and since we're talking about the body of work, right, we have a beautiful piece of art right here. Can you tell me about the artist that did this piece of art and why it's so special for the nation, for the community, for everyone, really?
Well, basket weaving is one of many art forms that Cherokees use to express what it means to be Cherokee, our past, our future. This piece was done by Mike Dart, who is a Cherokee National Treasure. That's the highest distinction that you can get as an artist. And in fact, the Artist Recovery Act focused in intently on the national treasures, giving them an opportunity to do a lot of things. Not only the national treasures, but it focused on them. So Mike's an example of a person who's put his life into learning this, and he passes it down because he teaches classes. He goes out and sells these things at art market so he can make a living. We've helped him do that. Significantly, Mike Dart actually made a piece that ended up in the White House when former First Lady Biden came to the Cherokee Nation to look at our language program. We gifted her a basket made by who? By Mike Dart. Mike, though, would tell you he's got a lot of colleagues throughout the art community that are doing great things, and the artists lift each other up, and they've been able to do that through the Artist Recovery Act.
Right, and I think it's amazing too to have something like this for the youth to see as well, to continue on to those generations. I know you kind of briefly talked about that, but talk to me about more about what the youth and why this is important to keep this alive.
Well, you know, young people, no matter who you are, you want to know what your place is in the world. You want to know something about your history, and you want to know where you're going and how you can contribute. Well, art is one way to do that, and we've got a lot of talented young Cherokees who could be the next Cherokee National Treasure, who could create something like this basket, making that accessible. You know, the old saying, kids can't be what they can't see.
Right.
Well, these art classes that can be out in the communities have been and will continue to be, thanks to the Artist Recovery Act, a way for young people to see what they could be. They could see a way to express their hopes and fears and aspirations in art, as great artists do, and they may even be able to make a living doing it, but they'll know, because of the Artist Recovery Act, that the Cherokee Nation puts real dollars into this, that we value this, that we say it's a priority, and so that excites me that we've got a bright future in the artist community.
That's right. And in order to continue to keep preserving the art, right, you got to make sure that you are keeping it on for generations to see. So how are you all keeping this safe in order for people to see this going on?
Well, we've got great facilities in which we display this art, and so you can go into our Cherokee National History Museum, which I was just at a day or so ago, and see great art. You can go to the Anna Mitchell Cultural Center, one of my favorite facilities of ours in Veneta, there at I-44 and Route 66, and you can see great art, and you can purchase that art. There's lots of places you could see it. You know, we believe that even when we build a healthcare facility, that it ought to be itself a work of art and contain great art. In fact, part of our law says that when we build facilities, we'll commit a percentage of the budget to art. And so the art that you're seeing here, displayed here, and the art that the Artist Recovery Act has made possible will end up in these facilities, very accessible to people. Some of it will end up in that art facility in Stillwell. So I think we're just beginning to really reach out across Northeast Oklahoma and find ways to display this art. But to do that, you've got to have artists. You've got to have artists that are making a living. You've got to have artists that are weathering tough economic times, which we've been in. And the Artist Recovery Act, I think, sort of stood in the gap and made that possible with that now $4 million investment.
Right, and it's important for people to come see that, right? And so tell me a little bit about how you all are, what's the feedback that you all are getting back from the community that are seeing the art, that are continuing to want to purchase the art, or, you know, what are you all getting back from the community?
Well, the feedback has been amazing. Artists in particular have been very appreciative of the act. They've availed themselves of the programs under the act. They've sold us art. They've done art classes that they may not have done without the funding of the Artist Recovery Act. So they have expressed their appreciation for it, and that means a lot to those of us who worked on it. It wasn't just me. It was our counsel, our Deputy Chief Brian Warner. People that have attended these art classes have been very excited about it because there's a real hunger, I think, out there among the Cherokee people to connect with culture. We're all on this journey to reconnect with our culture. No one's perfected sort of cultural knowledge. So we're all on this journey. Going to an art class is one way you can be on that that journey, and people have reached out and said they loved it, and they look at their sons and daughters or grandkids and they say they could be the next great Cherokee artist because they went to an art class, and I think that's really exciting. I think as people see the art displayed, we're going to make sure we label all the art as made possible by the Artist Recovery Act. I think people will see that and understand that this nation says that the arts are a priority, and I think government should do that, and we're doing that. People have been excited about the new art facility in Stillwell, which will be both a place where we can repair art if it's damaged, but also have gallery space to display art and also have classroom space. So people are excited in the Stillwell area about that. So far it's been very positive, and I think it'll continue to be positive as we go into this final phase of this act, and I think that's important. We've got to look to the future, but the act expires and now in 2026. We'll see what the feedback is from our citizens. If it is what it has been the last few years, it's going to be positive, and we got to keep going.
Right, and it's great to have that positive feedback, right, in order for people to learn more about the Cherokee Nation and about the artists. So tell me about some of the new funding opportunities that have came out of you all investing in that $1 million.
That's right. Well, right now people can see it in action. Artists who are familiar with our system already know how this works, but if you're a Cherokee artist, I would encourage you to go to CherokeeBids.org. You can find our latest call for art. It calls for a variety of pieces of art, 2D and 3D art. You can respond to that, put in your proposals, and you may be among the Cherokee artists that we are buying art in the near term with this new money as a result of the Artist Recovery Act. So I would encourage artists to go to that website and check out that call for art. A really special call for art we have under the Artist Recovery Act, as I've mentioned, is the Freedman Monument. As people know, equality is the order of the day at the Cherokee Nation. We're looking back at our history in an unvarnished way, just looking at what happened with our history of slavery, but we're also looking at our history of emancipation, the long march for equality by freedmen that's taken them into the 21st century, and we're going to memorialize that in one way, many ways, but one way we're doing it is this monument that we're going to build in Tahlequah at our courthouse square. People interested in that can go to that same website, CherokeeBids.org, and look at what the requirements are and put in a proposal. We encourage that. And so people right now can visit those websites if you're an artist. If you're somebody like me, not an artist, couldn't do this, but might be interested in doing this, if they go to visitCherokeeNation.com, which is really our hub for all things art and culture and tourism in the Cherokee Nation, in the future, you'll find the schedule of art classes that might be in your community, and you can go, and maybe you'll be the next great artist of the Cherokee people, or maybe you'll be like me, and you just hope to have a good time connecting with your culture. So that's what I'd encourage people to do. As time goes by, we'll have more content on our social media channels telling people what's going on with the Artist Recovery Act.
Right, and since we're talking about the pieces and we're talking about the bidding, do you know off the top of your head a number of how many pieces have been bought so far?
Right, we purchased 521 pieces of art across about 170 artists.
Wow.
And if people think about it that in economic terms, when somebody creates a piece of art like this, they put their work into it. That's what they do for a living. And so during times in which this piece might not have been able to be purchased because people are not spending their dollars on art during some difficult times, the Cherokee Nation stepped in and purchased this art, again, helping that artist across 170 different individuals, 520 pieces of art, 521 pieces of art, but that also enriched the Cherokee people. I mean, every dollar we spent on art under the Artist Recovery Act has returned immeasurably to the Cherokee people, because what it did is it filled our buildings, it's filling our buildings with great art, and it's filling the minds of particularly young people with what is possible. And it is possible to make a living being an artist, particularly if you've got a nation like the Cherokee Nation behind you.
That's right. And I know last thing that we talked about the feedback that you're getting from the community about the art, but what are the feedback from the artists that you've heard, right? Because you all are investing in them, keeping them alive with that. So tell me about that. What do they have to say?
Well, they've been very appreciative, and I think they feel like they're seen and heard in a way that maybe they didn't feel like before. These are folks that tapped into their own creativity, put their own work into becoming great artists, and we respect that. But I think they also appreciate that the Cherokee Nation sees that. We value that. We say collectively our artist community means something to us culturally. It helps us look at our past and and look into the future, what we can be. So I think they feel valued maybe in a way they didn't before. It's not to say the Artist Recovery Act is the only way that we have supported artists. We've done that for years. It goes back many decades that the Cherokee Nation's been investing in art. But I think what we've done with the Artist Recovery Act is we said when times are tough, our artists matter, their economic well-being matters, and cultural awareness and perpetuating Cherokee culture matters such that it's a high public policy priority to the tune of $4 million, which I think was a great investment.
That's right. Now, Chief, is there anything else that you feel like people should know? Any other additional information for people to check out the art? Anything else that you feel like?
Well, I just encourage them to go to visit CherokeeNation.com to explore Cherokee art and history. I also encourage them to visit any of our facilities where there's art, and that is to say every single one of them. We've got art into it. The Cherokee National History Museum is a great place. Anna Mitchell Cultural Center is a great place. If they go to visit CherokeeNation.com, they can explore the world of what it means to be Cherokee. And artists right now who are watching this right now should go to CherokeeBids.org because those calls for art are out there. They could be someone who sells art as part of this program to the Cherokee Nation.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Principal Chief, for joining us today. And you all make sure that you check out the links that he just mentioned already and check out this art. It's a beautiful piece, and it's so great that you all are continuing to keep the Cherokee Artist Recovery Act alive. So thank you so much again.